Yeah, no, this is the closest we're gonna get to actual PNGs, so please kindly bear with me. Okay, thanks. Hello everyone, my name is Mo Flump, and today I'm very happy to share with you all a project I've been working pretty on and off on called Project Kuugea. Basically, what if I turned my home region of Kuwait into a hypothetical Pokemon region? Now, do keep in mind that while I will try to be as close to the main games as possible, this project is largely self-indulgent and mostly focuses on stuff I personally would like to see in a Pokemon game. Obviously from an artistic standpoint, but you do what you can. Without any further ado, I'd like to show you what I've concocted in the lab. And here it is, the region of Kuugea. Please do keep in mind that this is still a work in progress and will be expanded upon later, hence the lack of any actual cities/landmarks. You see, I always wanted a region where we could effectively travel the world. The closest I thought we could get to that was what if we had a Pangea-inspired region? But I didn't want to do Pangea one-to-one, so I decided to take the map of Pangea, place it over the map of Kuwait, and basically work my way around it, placing certain geographical landmarks like forests, mountains, rivers, and deserts based on the country that correlates with the morphed image of Pangea. So that's fun, I think. All in all, I think it's a pretty solid start to what the region could look like, though obviously it's not perfect and will be tweaked later, but that's not why you're here. Let's move on to the main potatoes of this video, the starter Pokemon and their evolutions. Alright, so let's start us off strong with our grass starter Pokemon. And yes, I know you can kind of see the other two starter Pokemon just in the background there, but we'll get to them later. Funnily enough, out of all three initial starter designs, the grass starter is the one I started working on last because, well, I didn't know what exactly I wanted. Like, I know I wanted a monkey type Pokemon, but we already have one, unfortunately. So I thought I'd go for the next best thing. And the closest thing related to monkeys are, other than apes and us, are lemurs. And I wanted basically the vibe of this guy to be this down-to-earth, kind of lazy, maybe not in the mood, kind of reserved lemur energy type thing. And that's really just the theme I'm going with all three starters as a whole. It's like they're all just these different personality types that you wouldn't expect to get along, but yeah, it was just fun to like experiment with the shapes, experiment with the pose, the colors, and I am very particular about my colors, and yeah, that's really just about what we got. Lemur, the tree lemur Pokemon. This Pokemon is naturally cautious of others and prefers to spend most of its time alone. Being terrifyingly intelligent, it will find a way to get out of any situation it does not like or does not want to be a part of. Now, this design, I'm all in all very happy with the way it turned out in the end. I love how he's posed. I love his frickin' look he's giving the viewer. Like, what do you want? And other than that, I think he could be someone's friend who maybe isn't necessarily into Pokemon per se, but is more or less just kind of reserved. Now let's move on. For the next design, I kind of wanted to lean in more into that lazy aspect of Lemur's initial, vibe. So for his middle evolution, I kind of made him more hunched over, scratching his butt type deal. Gave him a little bit of bedhead, made it look like he's wearing some pajamas, and I also incorporated some different lemur element designs. Like, for example, I don't remember the specific name of this type of lemur, the one with the black faces and the white bodies, but this, I wanted to, implement that. Like, I wanted to incorporate as many different lemur elements and designs into this middle evolution. And before we kind of move onwards, I just kind of want to say, it's this design was just fun to work on conceptually, like especially when in comparison to like how it started off and where it's gonna end up. I wanted to kind of invoke that feeling of that image of how a chimpanzee slowly but surely turns into a Neanderthal and into like a fully grown man. Yeah, that kind of image. This kind of invokes that Neanderthal type energy. And I guess if I had to say one thing about the design that could use a little bit of work, it's the hands. Jesus Christ, it's the hands that need a little bit of work. But all in all, I'm very happy with how it turned out. Faka, the tree lemur Pokemon. This lazy Pokemon spends most of its life eating and sleeping. It's extremely sensitive to sound, so sleep does not come easy to this Pokemon. As it wanders about, Faka collects soft leaves with its prehensile tail and uses them to make simple beds. All in all, I think out of all the middle stage evolutions, I'm pretty drawn to this one the most because it speaks to me on a personal level. Now, without any further ado, let's move on to the final evolution of the lemur line. I'd say out of all the final stage evolutions, I'd have to say this one gave me the hardest time to get just right. I'm talking in terms of proportions, in terms of what I want in terms of silhouette, what I want in terms of colors, and just how man do I want this man to be, if that makes sense. So for this final evolution, I decided to make it a grass ground type for thematic reasons, and I will get to those thematic reasons at the end of the video, hopefully. And all in all, I just wanted something that screams an unmovable object. Like, this is the epitome of man, the unbreakable human spirit, I guess if you want to call it. Now, as you can see in the video, I was struggling to get the colors just right. Like, I wanted an earthy color palette, but I didn't want it to be autumn themed, you know? Like, yeah, the leaves are autumn colored, but this man is a lot more than just someone who just happens to like one season. Now, one thing I kind of want to like very briefly bring up is the naming conventions of the Pokemon so far. Lemur, being Leaf Lemur, is pretty basic and honestly a little boring. That was intentional. Faka was a combination of siesta and safaka, like rest and relaxation, and the lemur species. This one actually took a little bit of time, and I will explain it when the clip is done playing, but just know that I wanted this creature to be very, very smart. Like, not kind of how he grew with the player in terms of spirit, kind of like how we, the player, grew from a child to an adult. This, and really all starter Pokemon kind of symbolized that, but I kind of leaned in a little heavy on that with this particular Pokemon. Adamantale, the unyielding Pokemon. It lives at the heart of the forest with those it considers its friends. This Pokemon combines various leaves and mud to create its own weapons and armor. This Pokemon will pass fair judgment on anyone entering its domain. Now, the name Adamantale is a combination of a lot of things. Adam, in reference to the first human in terms of Abrahamic religions. Adamant, meaning someone who's keen on doing something. And Ringtail, like Ringtail Lemur. And also you can kind of see man in there too, so Adamantale. I really like how this turned out. Out of all of them, I'm proud of... Who am I kidding? I'm proud of all of them. That's why I'm showing you guys these. Anyways, moving on to the next starter Pokemon. Funnily enough, out of all the three starters, the fire starter is the one I first started working on, because out of all three, I had a clear vision for what I wanted. I wanted a mischievous, goofball little gecko, fire gecko, who has a pretty much unreadable expression, so you can't tell what he's up to, but you know it's nothing good. And the reason why I chose a gecko specifically is because, specifically in Islamic religion, which the region of Kuwait is predominantly comprised of, the gecko is often associated with bad omens, generally speaking, and has a particular history when it comes to fire. I don't remember the specifics as of now, but just know that this is pretty much where the inspiration came from. Squammo, the fire gecko Pokemon. A mischievous little Pokemon. The red stripes on Squammo's back can light up when excited or enraged. Due to its chaotic nature, it's difficult for new trainers to train this Pokemon. I love him. Plain and simple, I just love this goofy little troublemaker. Now for Squammo's middle evolution, I kind of wanted to lean in more into that mischievous side, where it's more apparent that this Pokemon is clearly up to no good. Like, you can clearly tell that it's not up to anything, let's say, pleasant. And As you can see, I still kept the tongue out because the one thing that's pretty prominent about this line in particular is that all three of its stages still just have its tongue out, no matter. And you'll see how it gets even more fearsome in its final evolution. It still has its tongue out to like kind of keep that hint of goofiness to it. Alright, so moving forward, I wanted to keep the idea that as this Pokemon evolves, it uses its shed skin to, incorporate it into its design. Like, Squamo's molt is used as a teenager jacket, like an oversized hoodie. And as you can see kind of at its head, it kind of looks like a little mohawk to add more to that punk element, rebellious energy. And all in all, I think this design is... Who am I kidding? I like all of them. There's no favorites with me. As you can clearly tell, I'm just kind of talking it as I go, because this is what having no script does to a person. Always prepare, people. Always, always prepare. Emolto, the fire lizard Pokemon. Upon evolution, Emolto uses the shed skin of its pre-evolution as extra protection. This Pokemon haughtily surveys its territory, looking for other Pokemon to challenge in battle, preferably those stronger than itself. Despite its smug and powerful character, Emolto seems quite lonely, so it's believed that it challenges Pokemon in hopes of befriending them. I just love them. I love this goofy little Komodo lizard type dude who evolved from a goddamn gecko. Moving onwards. Alright, so moving on to the final evolution of the Squama line is this, this dragon-like creature who I'm very sad to say is not actually a dragon. It's not dragon type. Yeah, no, it's just a lizard with wings, baby. We're going full-on Charizard in here. Plus, I didn't want it to be like, I didn't want it to be a dragon type because I felt like it would be too easy. So I felt like for thematic purposes and in terms of, starter balancing and how it fares in comparison to the other starters' final evolutions, it had to be dark type. Yeah, as you can see, this design, I actually incorporated a little bit of yellow and white into the design, which I would later change into like this kind of creamy color. But the point is, the shed skin has finally turned into a pair of makeshift wings, and it basically uses it to glide. For anyone who's familiar with the Monster Hunter series, I swear, I promise to you, this final evolution, its pose resembling that one Tigrex render was completely coincidental. I didn't even realize it until the final sketch was fully done, and I had to like move on to the rendering phase. And just like I said, you can still kind of see its tongue just kind of hanging out there to still have hints of that goofiness that it had when it was still a Squamo. But all in all, very happy with how this turned out. Moltegon, the disaster lizard Pokemon. The shed skin it wears has fused with this Pokemon's forelimbs, turning them into a pair of makeshift wings. There exist tales of this Pokemon causing unimaginable destruction since ancient times. Out of fear that saying its name would summon it, it was only recently that people started calling it Moltegon. It's unknown just how hot this Pokemon's fire truly is. Now, in case you haven't got it already, this Pokemon line was going for a pretty demonic imp, demon, devil type feel, and this, with Moltegon specifically, you can kind of see I was kind of aiming for a fallen angel type energy, even though it was pretty animalistic, what with the yellow and white color palette. And I think out of all three, I'm done saying out of all three, this one's my favorite. I have no favorites. I'm just gonna gush about my designs and carry on. Now, moving on to the water starter. I actually found this one to be weirdly tricky to design at the time because the design itself is so simple. The shapes are there. The silhouette is in my head. I know what I wanted. I wanted it to be like this tiny cherub or angelic type thing. Which, funnily enough, cherub is part of its name, but we'll get to that in a bit. But getting the shapes just right on this design was... it was needlessly tricky. All in all, if I had to say something about this line going forward, I really like the first and second stage, but I definitely think I can improve the final evolution, but we're just gonna have to get there when we get there. At this point, I think you guys can kind of figure out what the theming convention for these 3 starter lines are. Gerbil, the happy bird Pokemon. Gerbil has the mysterious ability of recognizing a person or Pokemon's true intent, sometimes choosing to stay with scary individuals who have good intent and avoiding those who wish to seek harm on others. This is such a cute design. When I showed this design to other people in my university, they, out of all 3 starters, I feel like they chose this one purely on a cuteness factor, which honestly I can't really say I blame them. Was that boastful? Man, I don't care. I spent frickin' months working on this video, so I'm allowed to be at least a little boastful, right? Now, moving on to its evolution. Since there really isn't much to talk about when it comes to middle stage evolutions, I may as well get a few things clear. With all 3 starters' middle stage evolutions, I kind of wanted to go heavy on the vibe they were already giving, but in a pretty exaggerated and more, I guess, self-destructive way. Like, for example, Lemur was unbothered and so became lazier with his middle evolution. Squammo is mischievous, but became even more mischievous, but this time intentionally causing problems instead of just being in the way at the time. And Cherbil wants to do good, but now is too heavily focused on doing good, and now will insist that there is a problem even though everything's perfectly fine. So I kind of gave Cherbil this nuh-uh vibe and energy to it, where it's like, actually there is a problem and I am going to fix it for you, that type of energy. And honestly, I just find that pretty charming and endearing. Undarinch, the hero bird Pokemon. This Pokemon's sense of justice knows no bounds. It proudly flies in the air looking for people and Pokemon to help. Unfortunately, due to its habit of acting before thinking, it sometimes causes chaos. Undarinch is notoriously stubborn and will insist that there is a problem in need of fixing. Many people appreciate this Pokemon's attempt at doing good, but others are not sure whether or not this Pokemon's presence is either a good or bad omen. Alright, moving on to the final evolution. Alright, so this is actually kinda new, in that instead of thinking this design is pretty good on its own, I actually think that there is a lot that can be improved upon this design. Like, I'm in love with the silhouette. I think it gets the idea across lovely, but the design itself is, I don't know, I'm just not vibing with it. You feel me? I wanted to go for that angelic sort of feel, which I definitely nailed with the silhouette, the pose, the cowlick turning into a halo, the eye-like feather design that's on its wings. I definitely like that, but I still feel like there's something missing about this design. What do you think is missing? Feel free to comment down below. Let me know what you would add if you were in my shoes. I wanted to go for this ethereal sort of vibe to kind of complement whatever the other 2 starter lines got going on. And in case you haven't figured it out by now, the theme for all 3 starters have been the trinity of realities of heaven, hell, and earth. Angelus, the blinding guardian Pokemon. The light emanating from Angelus's wings are actually modified feathers which have adapted to gather as much light as possible in any environment, no matter how dark. It is said that if this Pokemon bestowed one of its feathers to you, then it's undeniable that your heart is pure. I don't hate this design, but definitely think it could use an improvement. And that's pretty much it. I hope you guys really enjoyed this project. This has been such a fun, a creative experiment of mine to actually design some Pokemon in a way that I would personally find myself enjoying them, but also in a way that more or less aligns with the way Game Freak would make their Pokemon. But of course, we're not Game Freak, and we can be as self-indulgent as we want. Now, if y'all are interested, feel free to comment down below which starter line you personally like and which one you would pick. And please let me know if you guys would like me to make more of these videos. I have a few more sketches, a few more designs in my photo album, which I'm more than happy to share, and a few rough sketches that I'm also willing to share and improve upon if this series gains any traction. Without any further ado, I've been MoFlump. Thank you for being an amazing audience, and have a wonderful morning, day, evening, night, whatever. Just have an amazing day. Alright, bye. See ya.